Yo, what's up, guys? God Johnson here, but you guys can call me Seth. Today, we're going to be talking about Saturn in Pisces. The transit for 2025, it activated March 30th, I believe, and I was definite, or was it March 25th? Or March 30th? One of those days. I'll put it up on the screen here, the correct day. I want to talk about this because this was a transit that I was feeling a little bit wonky on. So I had it in my ninth house. So I had some elements of my learning causing stress and having to change my perspective on learning and stress and new horizons that were propelling me to the 10th house. That's what I'm working on now. I'm in the ninth, kind of hanging out here for this year. And I'm moving into the 10th. So this year is education on all things I'll need before I get to my 10th house. But we're going to talk about what Saturn in Pisces means for all 12 zodiac signs. So I would recommend you look at this for your rising sign and go from there. So you say, okay, if you're Aries rising, that would put Pisces in your 12th house. So you look at your 12th house business. All right. So I guess let's get into it. We'll start. I like to do everything in chronological order. So we're going to start from Aries, work our way all the way down to the Pisces. All right, so boom. For Aries Rising, this puts the Saturn in Pisces into your 12th house. Saturn is the planet of responsibility, slow, hard work, karma, things along those lines. But it's also like an element people don't often talk about is Saturn is also your blessings. When Saturn was ruling, I guess the skies in Greek mythology, it was called the Golden Age. It's like heaven. It's like, oh, after all of the hard work, when we get to the Golden Age, that's when Saturn's ruling. So it's all of the good things that we want and work for. But we have to work hard to get these things because once you reach the Golden Age or the kingdom of heaven, Saturn doesn't just let anybody in, but once you're in, you're in. But you need to prove that that you're worthy of getting in by doing the hard work. So when you have Saturn in the 12th house in Pisces, your preparation is going towards the next house. So it's going to be 12 to 1. If you're in 2, you're going to 3, but you have to do lessons related to 12. Lessons related to 12 consist of, people say it's like subconscious, hidden matters, and what else? Self-undoing. I don't really know what that means, but what I would say for like self-undoing is like releasing an aspect of yourself, especially since this is for Aries Rising. It's a redefining of yourself and letting go of the parts that like would prevent you from spiritual transcendence. The 12th house is spiritual transcendence. So all of those parts of you that would prevent you from spiritual growth and what's the word? Kind of an egolessness, enlightenment, so to speak. All those things that would prevent you from that, you're letting go of that. And Saturn, the master teacher, is here to help you with those things, which is pretty cool. It could feel heavy and stressful, like, oh my God, there's this big weight on me. But usually for me, once Saturn fully made its kind of transit, once it hit like April 1st or like maybe even April 30th, the last Sunday of March, that's when stuff started to kind of like resolve for me. And I said, oh, okay, this period I was meant to go through that, feel the stress, learn about stress, learn about these things. And then we move forward sailing on knowing, okay, this is a learning journey. We're in a new class, essentially. So Aries Risings, you guys are trying to release an aspect of yourself that could prevent you from ascending and moving up. It could mean literally, or it could just mean like carrying yourself better in relationships or making job relationships better. Stuff, it doesn't have to be relationships, but like small things. Like if you want to move up, like say you live in a certain place, but you would like to live somewhere else. You have to release the internal parts of your identity to ascend to this different whole realm that you like have no idea about, but you've kind of imagined. your ideals. You have to release a lot of aspects of your old self. So that's the self-undoing. Moving on, Taurus Rising. Taurus is cool. Saturn is in your 11th house. So 11th house, when you're dealing with, it says, wait, no, that's Gemini. It talks about friendships, groups, and aspirations. 11th house is also, there's the 10th house of like kind of being on stage. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm in the position, I'm in the best place I've ever been in my career. The 11th house would be the rewards or what you wished you'd get from the 10th house. So 10th house, okay, Chris Brown has a lot of 10th house stuff. Okay, I'm known as Chris Brown in the world. The 11th house is all the things that you want to gain from being known as Chris Brown. So it might be money, women, success, whatever, but all of those gains. So with Saturn here, you could be redefining, first learning what you want to gain from your success, learning how to manage your gains from success. So you might be moving out of the 10th house and into the 11th. Okay, you're Chris Brown, you have all these gains, you have a bunch of money. How do I manage my 11th house things? So it could be like, not just money, but it is Taurus we're talking about here, Taurus Risings, but it's a different sign. But it could be how I manage myself in friendships. Maybe I was wishing to have a group of friends, and I found myself in a good position from the 10th house. I'm moving on to the 11th house. I have a bunch of friends. But wait, I haven't had friends in a long time. How do I like manage these friendships? That's the type of thing that Saturn in the 11th house will kind of do. Since it's in Pisces, it always has to do with enlightenment, releasing of something to get to the place of like being unconditional. Boundless, knowing boundaries because Saturn's there, but still being unconditional in some ways, being fluid, being, Pisces is like, if Aquarius is the water bearer that's giving to Pisces, Pisces is kind of what's like given to everybody. Everybody can have some of what Pisces wants to give because it's for you guys to have and give. So when you have this energy in the 11th house, you're learning boundaries with giving, but also like at the same time, boundless kind of giving. And that's with your gain. So you might gain a lot of really cool stuff with this in your chart right now. But it takes going through Saturn to get to that beautiful waterfall. All right, so now we've got, for our Gemini risings, Saturn in Pisces is in your 10th house. Cool. So that's career, reputation, public image, that's all the stuff we talked about, your professional life. You're working on maybe learning, like, what does it mean to be a professional at something? What is the profession I want to get into? So many questions. The difference is it's not just inquisitive. It's like you have a syllabus for these questions. So like think of it like college because that's what we're going to next, the 9th house. But you have all of these questions, but you have a teacher that's kind of guiding your questions, helping you find the answers. So it'll be saying, okay, what career do you want? How do you want your reputation to be? What can you work hard for a long time? It doesn't have to be forever, but what can you work hard for and be patient towards? These types of questions are coming up for our Gemini risings because Saturn in Pisces is in your 10th house. So what kinds of things like that are you answering these questions? These are your questions, your lessons. With Pisces there, that always softens it. So once you learn the lessons, you feel free. You feel free. You feel like you're a fish swimming in the sea with no sharks, obviously. Even shark is a type of fish. But like you're a small fish swimming in the sea, like just floating. Floating and everything feels effortless and beautiful, but you've gone through the lessons first. That's kind of the combination with Saturn and Pisces because it's two like conflicting things. But when Pisces is in that sign, they're working together. They're working together. It's like Pisces is driving the Saturnian ship. Pisces is controlling Saturn. Like, okay, responsibilities, all right, but I want to move a lot, yeah. But I got to move it in this confinement. So it's an interesting situation. But Gemini risings, you guys are working on career, reputation, and public life, which is awesome. So you're working on, okay, what is my Chris Brown image? Or who else has James Brown, something. People like that. A lot of celebrities have a lot of 10th house placements, but you guys are working on the 10th house business, which is nice and neat. So do more stuff that deals with your reputation. It could be social media. That's more like Aquarian, Gemini kind of range. But like stuff that makes you feel like you're a professional, stuff that you feel like, oh, this is my life purpose kind of things. If you have always wanted to be or do something, Gemini Risings, go towards that thing. It's no longer time. Okay, let me ninth house is still you're learning. 10th house, you're always learning, but go towards your thing now. If you want to be a basketball player, it's time to stop playing tennis and go to basketball. If you want to be a doctor, right? You just left college. It's time for you to go off and get into the field. 10th house is the field, so get in the field. Cancer risings. All right, so Pisces or Saturn in Pisces is in your 9th house. So you're learning about learning, and you're learning about fluidity in education. Releasing stress with education and learning and broadcasting. 9th house is like broadcasting. It's like writing, speech giving, stuff like that, like grand scheme kind of communication. You're learning about everything 9th house, but you're learning how to do it fluidly, stress-free, kind of like creatively, spiritually, kind of that sort of thing. Because it is Pisces, and you're a Cancer rising, so you're water. Generally, yeah, your 9th house is generally in Pisces already, but there's Saturn brought there. So it's like a restructure of how you naturally learn. Every time Saturn and Jupiter get together, there's a restructure of something. Because with Zeus and Kronos, which they're the two gods that represent Jupiter for Zeus and Saturn for Kronos, when they came together, because Saturn's the dad, but Zeus came and brought Saturn down because he was like, I don't like the way you're doing things. You're like eating the kids because you think that I'm gonna take over your kingdom one day. That's too like, nah, that doesn't sound like righteous enough for me as Zeus. And then Saturn's like, well, I'm responsibility, so that sounds like my responsibility. And then, Zeus was like, Zeus won, which means like Saturn was not on his stuff. And Zeus was able to take over, and that's kind of... So when Saturn comes into Zeus's house, it's checking, okay, this is how you've been learning. There's a more fluid way to do it. There's a less stressful way to do it. You don't need to feel like this to be learning. Let that go. Restructure so you can flow through learning, and then you can flow up into the 10th house next year. But anyway, okay, so now we've got our Leo risings. Saturn is in your 8th house. 8th house is cool. They say shared resources, transformation, deep psychological work, deep intimacy too. Your deep intimate relationships. Things you deeply understand or take the time to deeply understand. So you're going to take the time to structurally deeply understand things. Like you're going to take a maybe more systematic kind of approach to learning things, or at least you'll be very consistent with learning it. So you might be learning some Piscean things, but like deeply. Let me see, Pisces. Could be healing. Healing people in deep relationships. Maybe this is the year where you're really focused on that. Scorpio, since we're talking about 8th house energy and Saturn and Pisces is in your 8th house, Scorpios love to dive deep into things. They love to think about things, but they like the more taboo side of things. Or like, if you're talking about this at a table with family, one family member might hear this and be like, what? What are you talking about? So you might be like, what's the flip side of Pisces here? That could be a lot of things. I think 12th house talks about like jails and like alcoholism and stuff. various different things. But Leo, you guys are becoming responsible for something with more depth. And that could bring transformation to either you or other people, but you guys are becoming more responsible for that. Like, that's what you're being tasked with doing. It could be inheritance too, but I think like when they say deep emotional healing and growth, it could be, it's more so like an understanding of that. And it could be an experience of that too. But with Saturn, it's work and reward. So you could be maybe like karmically, maybe you're helping people work on deep emotional healing, or you're going through that yourself, and you get some rewards in this house. You get some rewards in your 8th house. People might not see it, or you might not want people to see the rewards you're gaining, but they're deep, and maybe they affect you or other people that are like kind of in your close-knit circle. Like, not under your bed, but maybe in your room. Like people that you feel comfortable like having in your safe space. They benefit from you having Saturn and Pisces in the 8th house somehow. Things along those lines. If you have questions, drop them in the comments. But Virgo Rising, you guys have Saturn and Pisces in your 7th house. 7th house is how you relate to other people. It's partnerships. It's say marriage, relationships, stuff like that. Could also be how people see you. That's what I interpret the 7th house as. But I also have 7th house energy in my 1st house. Like, my 7th house shoots over into my 1st house. So maybe that's just like personal. But opposites always interact. But anyway, so Saturn in Pisces will be in your 7th house of partnerships, marriage, and one-on-one relationships. So obviously learning about relationships on a romantic front. It could be how you communicate in relationships, how you go about balance in relationships. What does it mean to be in a balanced partnership or a balanced marriage? Or how do I communicate with somebody one-on-one? What's my interpersonal communication like? Or how do I work on my projected image, so to speak, like how people see me? Like, because if you have Saturn in Pisces in the 7th house, people might see you in intimate relationship as more of a Pisces person. Okay, very caring, generous, almost selfless, kind of in the way they give. They don't expect anything back. They're selfless. Oh my goodness. They just kind of like, give themselves in that way. Redefining that, reworking that, or learning lessons about that. Maybe learning about why you do that. Why do you give yourself the way you do? Because with Pisces, you're giving something in the 7th house. Why do you give yourself to people the way you do? And taking the time to learn those lessons give you some reward. Maybe you'll find an even better fluid way to give yourself, or a way to give less of yourself to where it's less taxing, if it is. Learning lessons about how you give yourself. Scorpio Risings. Hi. Saturn in Pisces is transiting your 5th house, which is fun. So you're learning about romance, creativity, and possibly like your relationship to children or young jovial people, or your relationship to how you express yourself is there, because Leo is like the expressionist, but more so like acting things out. So learning about how you express your personality or your creativity. Saturn is there, so you guys, Saturn and Pisces in the 5th, very creative people. Very creative people. This could be music, but learning about like a more practical aspect of creativity. Because what this does, since it's in Pisces, Pisces' goal is driving the ship. I don't know if you guys heard what I was saying. I think that was Taurus Rising I was talking about that for. But Pisces is driving the ship, so it's like Pisces, it's Piscean goals. Saturnian themes with Piscean goals. So you work hard, and the result you get is, yes, I don't have to work as hard now because I've learned. Or, I don't have to try as hard to present myself creatively in this way because I've learned that blank. You fill in the blank. Or I don't have to feel anxious about self-expression or anxious about being around kids because I've learned, oh, wait, kids will respect you if you respect them. That kind of thing. Little stuff like maybe anxious about, I was a camp counselor once, and I was like, oh, man, am I going to be good with kids? I don't know. Like, how's it going to rock? And then I went there, be honest with kids. That's the thing. If you're somebody who's a capper, if you're a liar, kids always know when you're lying. Be honest with them, because then you'll never be in a position where like they catch you on something, and then that changes their respect for you. You want kids to respect you just as much as you respect them. You have to respect them too, though. And it's like, it's mutual. I always carried myself that way. Like, even if I was younger than somebody, just because you're older than me doesn't mean I respect you. I have to see that you're a respectable person. We both have to earn each other's respect. And I don't expect you to respect me if I'm not being respectable. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, respecting that. Or maybe that's your lesson right there, is like, respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Hey. Okay. Next, we got Sagittarius Rising. So Saturn in Pisces will be in your 4th house of home, family, and emotional roots. This is a lot of houses tie into the 10th house, but like 4th house is like your foundation. It's like once you leave the 10th house, because you're not always on the 10th house, you don't live there all of the time. That's just kind of like the stage. That's like work, what the world might see you as. Once you leave the 10th house, you typically go back to the 4th. It's like your foundation. Like, okay, I go to school every day, or I'm online talking. As soon as the camera cuts off, what do? Oh, I jump in my bed. And I operate how my 4th house is. So you guys, let me see. It talks about home, family, emotional roots. It's Pisces there. You're learning how to have things flow better in your 4th house. Something about like is it a dam? Like a dam where water's passing in. It's coming from either the 3rd house through the 4th, so something with communication and how that goes into your 4th house, or maybe 5th house to 4th, like that. But something being able to effortlessly wash into your 4th house. So maybe you communicating about your 4th house, or communicating more effectively in your 4th house. So communicating better with family, people that see your 4th house, or being able to talk about your 4th house some more. Maybe there are things that you are learning about the 4th house that you might need external help with. But since it's the 4th house, it's personal, you don't want to share it. You're like, this is my house. I don't want to talk about like that my room is dirty and to clean it up, but I need some external help to do that. Once you get that external help, it becomes easy. You can easily clean your room, because somebody's like, oh, your floor's dirty? What do you got? You got tile or carpet? They're like, you're like, I have carpet. They're like, I have a vacuum you could use. And then they give you the vacuum, and now you can effortlessly clean your floor. I should have explained what Saturn in Pisces meant at the start of the video, because that would be helpful, but we're learning. Hey, learning and teaching. That's my job at the moment. All right, so next up we got Capricorn Rising. Your Saturn in Pisces is in your 3rd house of communication. Boom. So again, the end result is effortless, beautiful, like awesome flow. And like I was gonna say honestly for some reason, but it's like your idealized version, everything you imagine. So if Pisces is in your 3rd house, you imagine things in regards to the 3rd house. Maybe you imagine, this is how I communicate, this is how I learn, or you imagine this is how I interact with my siblings, but maybe that's not how I interact. You guys learn something that makes that effortless, right? When we think of Pisces, we're not thinking, they're grinding. Yeah, Pisces is working hard, and it seems like Pisces can just do stuff. A lot of the people I look, Quincy Jones, PJ Morton. I was going to say Michael Jackson, but he's a Virgo with Pisces Rising. But they do things effortlessly. So you got to go through Saturn to get to your effortless communication, but it's not going to be might not be a little too long. Third house is about learning, and it's Gemini, so it's learning quickly. But yes, the goal is effortless communication or learning or relationship with your siblings, short distance travel, whatever. But it's that like fluidity. Pisces is also a master of things because it's about to transcend or has already transcended. So think about that level of mastery where you can do it so well that it's like, oh, it's just fluid to me. I don't feel like there's a weight on me anymore to do it. It's just ain't nothing to it but to do it. So communication could get like that for you Capricorn risings. Boom. All right, let's get on to Aries rising. Saturn in Pisces is transiting your second house. It talks about values, possessions, finances. This is Taurus. This is house. A definition I like with the second house is like how you value yourself. It's also how you think about money and saving. What could pull in money for you? With Pisces there, money, you got to kind of let it flow to you in a way. Like it's like a river. You got to kind of let it like flow how it comes. Your imagination could also be big too. Imagine ways in which you'd like to make money. Thinking about or learning some new way to pull money to you. It can involve spirituality. It can involve something that doesn't feel tangible. But if it doesn't feel tangible, you got to find a way to like ground it a little bit. That's the difference. You're grounding it a little bit. You're figuring something out that's tangible that makes it a lot easier. You say, okay, well, I typically make money when I cut grass. I cut grass for a living. And you say, okay, so how can I ground that a little more? Because I only do it once a month. But when I do it once a month, I make $650 for that job. So how can I ground it more? More clients. Maybe I do it more frequently. How do I do that? Trying to figure that out and taking that path. Maybe I'll do grass cutting with a company. Something to kind of ground it so that like I can do the same efforts, but I can do them like fluidly. Finding the obstacle, what makes what you would like to do effortlessly, what makes it challenging, and then making that easy. That's Saturn in Pisces. Trying to change hard work to easy work so that you can just, oh, I'm coasting. I'm coasting in Costa Rica. All right, so that was Aquarius Rising. Last but not least, we've got the Pisces Risings. So Saturn is in your first house. All right, so now y'all, that's my domain. I just have that all the time. Saturn in my first house. But okay, so for Pisces Risings, you guys are learning simple. How to be responsible. How to be responsible. And this is something that you guys might want to do anyway. But the tricky part is you want to be seen as responsible and somebody who can get things done and be practical and mature, stable. The only thing is you have to like just do those things. People see you, how you show up, what you do. So like if you intend to be responsible but don't take responsible action, then people will see you as somebody who is irresponsible, regardless of your intent. If you say, oh man, like, I would love to, when I tell people I'm going to be somewhere, I would love to be there on time. Or I would love to be there when I say I'm going to be there, but stuff just always happens. I know your heart is pure and you would love to actually be doing those things, but you're not doing those things. So you have to actually do the things to get the results. And then like once you realize that, everything becomes like effortless. Being responsible becomes, oh, yeah, I'll just show up. I'll just flow and be there. Or when I say something, I'll just do it. Or I'll like take extra responsibility. If I say I'm in charge of this, you can trust me to be in charge of it. And I'll do it. And that makes everything else flow so much easier for you because you're not afraid of responsibility. The only thing that would make responsibility feel scary is maybe you don't believe that you can execute that. Okay, what happens when somebody says, okay, Seth or Tommy or Bernice, whatever your name is, you are responsible for this. You're like, oh, wait, me? That means I have to like do it, and then maybe do it well, and then maybe yada yada yada. All these thoughts come in. You let go of whatever prevents that, whatever makes that stressful, whatever makes that worrisome, so you can flow into it and be responsible. Grow personally, learn self-discipline, learn all of these things. Learn that like, oh wait, I am somebody, I can be fluid and giving and like boundless, but I'm somebody that people can rely on. I'm somebody that can show up in a caring way, and people can rely on that. Or I can be creatively expressive, and people can rely on that. I can recreate this. So that's what Pisces risings with your Saturn in the first house. That's what you guys are learning, is how to do what you do effortlessly. Get rid of the stress, be more consistent with it, and just flow even more. Get those rewards you want, because this is how it close off. Saturn gives rewards for the hard work. It's not just hard work, some whoopings and discipline. It's always with the reward. He runs the golden age, the kingdom of heaven. He doesn't run it just to say, okay, nobody can come in. The point is, all right, I want people to come in. I want the right people to come in. I want Pisces to come in once they learn, maybe I'll be more responsible. Simple. I want Leo risings to come in once they learn something a little deeper than just like the lightheartedness of, oh, I want to perform so people can like me. Go deeper. Go into your psychology about things. Why do you want to do that? Yeah. So Saturn rewards that way. But Saturn in Pisces is taking the whole transit of Saturn in Pisces means you're taking the hard aspects of things and you're trying to wash that away so that things can be fluid and easy. The whole goal of Saturn in Pisces is not for things to be difficult, but how can we ground them to make them even easier for you. I have to take this one step to make it easier. For example, you like to lift 50 pounds for some reason, but it's hard to lift it right now. Something you can do to make it easier is, okay, I do 15 push-ups every morning. Okay, do that every morning, do that for a while, and then the 50 pounds get lighter and lighter. You're like, oh shit, okay, all right, okay. That's what you want. If you're a singer, you have a natural gift for singing, but you don't always hit the right notes. Sometimes when you just without sing, you'll be off key, right? So Saturn comes in and you say, take a practical approach to learning. Let me practice my scales. Or let me sing more consistently so that when I want to effortlessly just blurt out some notes, I can do it effortlessly because I've practiced. I've tried to ground something I can do so effortlessly and so fluidly. Yes. All right, guys. This has been Saturn in Pisces, the transit. I like this transit because I experienced it. I'm working on making that more fluid and effortless. That's just part of what I learned on this journey, learning how to play more effortlessly. And I have gigs now. I'm learning how to get rid of the stress with that and just enjoy the journey. It doesn't need to be stressful, but learning what's that practical thing that allows me to just do it. Just do it. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Put your experience with Saturn and Pisces in whatever house it's in the comments. Let me know you guys' experience. How has that been treating you? On my Patreon, I have the numerology series, which is cool if you guys don't know about life path numbers. Check that out. That's just another layer. It talks about your life purpose, themes you go through, how to navigate them better, and the gifts and abilities that you have that you might not even know you have, and how to develop them, and it gets into this pretty cool stuff. It's like a very cinematic series. I'll be posting some more exclusive content on my Patreon. Check that out. It's God Johnson Wisdom. It'll be in the description and ideally on the screen if I decide to edit this video. But like, comment, subscribe, and thank you guys for watching. Good luck with your Saturn in Pisces. It's not scary, I promise. The whole point is to make things easier for you. It's to make things easier for you and effortless and smooth for you. So you don't have to worry about nothing. You actually learn, how do I do these things, but effortlessly. That's the goal, right? Anyway, thank you all for watching. Peace.